Professor Gao, I want to ask you this. Wasn't the whole point of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the grouping, the Shanghai Five as it began, was to foster regional peace? Wasn't that one of the objectives? So when a fight against terror is being spoken of, why is it that China doesn't want a unanimous statement to come out? Why does China want to leave out the message of fighting terror?
Thank you very much. I think the SCO was founded decades ago to deal with the spillover of terrorism, extremism, and radicalization out of Afghanistan after the outbreak of the American-led Afghan war, more or less around 2001. So I think anti-terrorism was actually one of the dominant themes of the SCO to start with. So don't get us wrong that anti-terrorism of all forms, shapes, and colors should remain a dominant theme for SCO. However, whenever you have a terrorist attack taking place anywhere in the world, you need to get to the bottom of the situation. You cannot jump the gun and then immediately point to another country as if that country is the sponsor of the terrorist attack. There should be a due process, go through all the investigation, come up with all the evidence before you can point your finger at any particular sovereign country. Now,
Sure.
I think this is what happened. The terrorist attack several months ago was condemned by China, and by me personally. I condemn all kinds of terrorist attacks, but you cannot just jump the gun and say certain country was organizing the terrorist attack and you
Sure,
have
I
the
take
right
your
to
point there,
bomb that
Professor Gao, but
particular
let me
country.
interrupt and ask you this, because you say that you can't jump the gun. Then why is it that the same thing was done by China at the nudge of Pakistan to try and blame India for what happened in Balochistan a few weeks ago with the Jafar Express? Is there any evidence to back that India helped any of those Baloch Liberation Army members to attack that particular train, to kill so many Pakistani military agents? Is there any proof of that? Did China not jump the gun when that was included in the statement?
No, facing with these situations, I think we need to exhaust ourselves in doing thorough investigation. What's happening in Balochistan is not only terrorist attack, it's kind of trying to split Balochistan away from Pakistan. So it's much more than a terrorist attack. It's a separatist movement very much against the fundamental national interest of Pakistan as a united country. And I think Pakistan, as a united country, has all right, as any other country faced with such separatist movement, to use all the wherewithals at its disposal to fight off such separatist movement. So I think the nature of the situation is completely different. You are talking about an isolated terrorist attack involving Indian nationals on the one hand. You are talking about a highly organized and structured separatist movement trying to pull a very much large part
and the Pakistani
from the
administration
land
and the
from
government, the army can fight the Baloch Liberation Army on its own. Why blame India was the question that I was asking. But Lieutenant General Kulkarni, we've seen this kind of narrative that's being built by Pakistan on multiple global fora like this, especially in the last 2 months in the aftermath of the Pahalgam attack and of course Operation Sindoor. Pakistan has been running desperate, trying to knock on doors of several of its allies. Unfortunately, most of them, including the United States, have backed India's right to self-defense and to defend itself in the face of such terror attacks.
With utmost respect to Mr. Victor, because he seemed to have jumped the gun in blaming India when it came to Balochistan, and he's taking time to blame Pakistan for what it is doing in India and using terrorism as an instrument of state policy. I think he has his point of view. I will not dispute it, because he puts terrorism as one part and he's calling Balochistan something in which he does not hesitate in blaming India for what is happening in Balochistan, which is absolutely incorrect. For anybody who goes back to 1948 until date would know very much that Balochistan wasn't part of Pakistan and it was by force taken by Pakistan, and therefore that whatever is happening today in Balochistan is because of the Balochis themselves. India has got nothing to do with it. Well, even in the Mumbai attack, we gave Pakistan enough evidence, and we did tell not just Pakistan, the entire world, that Pakistan was deeply involved. Pakistan is using, and I'm sure will continue to use terrorism as an instrument of state policy. There is no denying the fact about it. there is duplicity, and duplicity comes from all over. So let's not say that, well, Pahalgam was a separate issue altogether, and that one required time to get to know whether Pakistan was actually involved or not involved, and that India was jumping the gun by blaming Pakistan. I thought that is highly, highly incorrect. Otherwise, why else would whatever transpired for 4 days between India and Pakistan, would Pakistan lump it? And why would Pakistan then come on its knees and accept it? It's a very simple thing. There's nothing wrong in it, and we must accept it. However, I do respect for whatever that be, the friendship between the two countries, higher than the Himalayas, deeper than the ocean, sweeter than the honey, all said and done, adequate investments into Pakistan. We know what exactly is happening in China-Pakistan economic corridor. Perfectly fine. That's between the two countries. But not to blame Pakistan, but to blame India, and to take out a joint communique trying to show that, well, India can be cornered, definitely not acceptable. And if you have to be good friends and neighbors, it's very, very important. Very, very important for both the countries to be respecting each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty. There is no denying the fact, and nothing can move. Terror and talk can't go together. Expansionism and talk can't go together. Where is the doubt? I think these are organizations, these are regional organizations which are for political reasons, economic reasons, international defense and security cooperation, and right, the ambassador rightly brought out 24% of the world's area. Imagine 42% of the world's population, 23% of the world's GDP. What more better organization can it be? It's one of the finest organizations which, if they use resources and the need of it is being there, and definitely an organization which has RAT, nothing else but RAT. RAT is what? A regional anti-terror structure, and that is basically it for that. I thought, well, there has been, and I'm so glad that our defense minister did not sign the joint communique, because it was very essential to be able to convey to all countries concerned that, look, terror has no religion, terror has no country, terror has nothing, terror is terror, an absolute terror which must be condemned by one and all, irrespective from where it originates and who are the people responsible for it.
Absolutely.
In this case, Pakistan is responsible. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Victor Gao, this also sets the stage of what we are going to see in a few months from now. This is the SCO Defense Ministers meeting. We are going to be seeing the heads of state SCO meeting in a few months from now as well. Do you think this sort of sets the stage for what is expected to happen? Now, maybe China is, doesn't have an option, so to say, other than back Pakistan and try and take that nudge that Pakistan gives you your way, because there are millions of dollars as far as the CPEC project goes that are at stake for China and Pakistan. They have their interests to look at monetarily as well, which is perhaps why they're trying to take sides here. Is that what you think is happening?
No, I don't think so. First of all, CPEC is a live, very dynamic global project, and CPEC is just part of that BRI global initiative. So many countries have participated. According to the latest account, more than 160 countries have become members promoting the BRI initiative throughout the world. The fact that India does not want to join is actually very much to the loss of India. I personally would urge the Indian government to rethink about this situation, because what India needs is high quality connectivity projects. And India, without doing its domestic connectivity projects, try to do this IMAC, for example, the India, Middle East, European corridor, is a pipe dream, because you need to build up your own domestic connectivity projects first before you can really demonstrate that you have the capability to build up connectivity projects outside of India. That's why it is time to call on India itself to reconsider the BRI initiative and try to become a very active participant.
But India's connectivity projects have
the Indian people.
Sure, but India's connectivity projects and what India does inside or what it plans to do outside of it, whether ambitious or not as China thinks, is India's prerogative. And those countries that are involved with this Middle East Europe corridor seem to be on board.
Absolutely.
They don't seem to doubt. They don't seem to doubt India's capabilities or whether this is a pipe dream, like you say.
Ma'am,
well,
you can't expect
it's
him
going
to
be
tell the
proven
truth.
whether
He's
it's
being
pipe
monitored.
dream or not. But it is not right for India to deny the best interest of the Indian people of not building up your own domestic connectivity.
Who is China to tell us what is the interest of the Indian people?
CPEC from happening
Ma'am,
and try to be
ma'am,
an
ask him
We're
to
obstacle
not,
meet the
to
we're-
prevent CPEC.
Professor Gao,
That's the
India is
wrong
not
thing.
stopping. Professor Gao, India is not stopping China from doing what it's doing as far as the CPEC project goes in Pakistan. Unfortunately for China and for Pakistan, those people who live there have a problem with it, which is why we've seen the kind of protests that have broken out, the kind of violence that has broken out, unfortunate lives that have been lost of Chinese nationals. And yet, for some reason, India keeps getting blamed. But Deepak Vora, is this a pattern? No matter what the issue, no matter what the problem, turn around and blame India whether you have proof or not. And that seems to be a pattern both these fair weather allies seem to be following.
Now, all this thing about connectivity and the good professor wanting to tell India what to do. Thank you very much, sir. We have more people than your country, and we know exactly what is good for us. Even as we speak, when the good professor was talking about investigating terrorism, ma'am, even as we are speaking now, and I'm looking at 1915 hours on the 26th of June, there is a terror encounter going on in Udhampur with 4 Jaish-e-Mohammed, your friends, Professor, an international terrorist organization proscribed by a racket called the United Nations. The encounter is going on right now. What investigation would you like us to do, sir? When they are coming with guns to kill innocent people. We say, wait. First, let's investigate who you are. Show us your passport. Show us your ID card. Oh, no, sir. No. We know because we have suffered. And when you suffer, when China gets hit, you hit back violently. We don't comment on that. That's your prerogative. So may I request you, Professor, we are very polite people, but we also know how to defend our interests. And what the General has just told you, one of the most highly decorated, let me complete, sir. One of the most highly decorated members of the Indian Army. We know what happened in Galwan. We know what part of Indian territory is occupied by 2 countries, in fact. We know it all. You can investigate till the cows come home. What we want is direct action, and this is what we are seeing today. One more terror attack from your buddies, higher than the mountains, deeper than the oceans, sweeter than honey. The honey has gone rancid, the mountains have fallen, the ocean is coming up to the surface. Let me just tell you, one more terror attack and all hell will break loose.
And India has made that clear. Any future act of terror is act of war, and that's how it
May
will
I
be
add a
treated.
point?
Yes,
May I add a point?
Professor Gao, 30 seconds, please. I need to get in Lieutenant General Kulkarni.
Yeah. Two points. One is that my advice for India is don't wear war on your lips. It's not a good recipe for you.
We don't, sir.
Let's promote
We
peace.
don't, but we cannot be sitting there waiting for the enemy to finally see the light of day and not attack innocent civilians.
The second point is even more importantly, being a member of SCO, India, Pakistan, all the other members should work together to come up with a framework agreement.
Absolutely.
So none
They
of
should
the
work
members
together to
should
fight against
support
terror. Why was that not seen today?
Against any other country. And we should work together to get to the bottom of each of the terrorist attack and try to really get to the bottom of the
I
situation.
agree with
to
what you say,
prevent
sir, but I think this
terrorist
advice was
attacks
meant for
from
Pakistan and
happening
not for
again.
India. Because
So let's
Pakistan,
work
your
together.
ally, needs
Let's
to
work
listen to this.
together.
That we
Let's
have to
work
work
together
together
winning the
to
SCO,
fight
rather
terror.
than being the
Unfortunately,
only
China today couldn't manage to
outlier
get that
to prevent a
unanimity
joint
and get the
communique from
sign on the
happening.
dotted line of that
What a
statement
pity
which spoke about a
if
fight
India
against
becomes
terror.
the only outlier to prevent the joint communique from happening from the SCO defense minister. It's a great
can't
shame.
change
Well,
his mind.
it's a shame that China couldn't do its job properly, sir, as the chair, because they should have put the mention of
It is a
terror and
shame
fight
that
against
someone
it
is
in that
blocking the
document
joint
so that
communique.
so that India would have signed on
is
that
a
dotted
shame.
line.
It
It is a shame. I agree with you. It is a shame that we could not gather unanimity on something as important as a united fight against terror.
Because
I
of
agree with
one
you there.
single
But Lieutenant General
country
Kulkarni, I
blocking
want
the
you to
joint
have the last word
communique.
here. As far as this
Maybe
particular
India
summit
should
is
really
concerned,
reconsider its membership
is
of
this what we
SCO.
are going to be seeing from here on? If China and Pakistan have decided to band together, we are going to be seeing several such summits where India, Pakistan, India, China are going to come face to face.
Maybe
Is this
India
now
should
led the stage?
reconsider its
Lieutenant
membership
General
of SCO.
Lieutenant General Kulkarni,
That's my
please.
personal recommendation.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Victor. No country should have war, and no country should have war on its lips, and no country must instigate either.